One of the major questions that I'm asked is my qualifications for sheriff. And one of the most important things that we need is someone with the character of not being able to be bought, sold, or sexed. Now, when we have a situation of people trying to get promoted in the courthouse and people trying to get promoted on your sheriff's department through coming in and seducing the men that are in position that's above them. And this is what we have when we have people like Erica Parker having sex with another John Piccamanus, another woman's husband, and both these people are on the Child Protection Investigation Team for your sheriff's department. These are supposed to be protecting our families. And here it is, you have Erica Parker, she's married, she has a husband, a deputy in the sheriff's department. Then you got John Piccamanus having sex with another deputy's wife while this man's married and got children. And they're both on the Child Protection Investigation Team. Erica Parker, once again, Megan Gallagher filed 96 false reports. Without any probable cause, they get a warrant. You have to have someone testifying under oath of abuse, abandonment, and neglect in order to take people's children. When they come before Judge Morris, have no probable cause, no evidence, no testimony, just coming in and stealing people's children. And then putting them actually in drug houses. You watch the videotape of Jason, the young man that's on my YouTube account, and it was through his testimony I was able to expose Safe Children Coalition, now is called Eckert. All they've done now is changed names. They changed it from Safe Children Coalition, which lost their contract. After exposing, they took this little kid at 9 years old, put him in a drug house. While you were at work, he was breaking into your houses, forced to break into your houses, if you listen to his testimony, and stealing things and bringing it to the people that they put him in. He even gives the case managers names that are at the courthouse. He gives their names of the people that are supposed to be managing the stuff that's going on. I mean, the corruption is so out of control. I mean, it's almost, we need to clean up ourselves as a community and as a county. And the way you're going to do this, you're going to have to get these people out of all office. What they are is they're lifetime politicians. And what they do is they protect one another. If you could take, like the young man in Clearwater, if you can take him and Josh Cobbs, they want to give him 20 years, while the attorney in Clearwater commits the same crime and he gets probation. And that's where the problem is. How can an attorney get probation? One of the citizens commits the same crime, he gets 20 years. And Josh Cobb's crime, it doesn't even come close to the city attorney or the, I don't have his name right now. If you went to TampaBay.com and typed in a raw deal, you'd be able to find the article. And once you see the evidence of these people protecting one another, cover one another's back, while they're out just stealing from the people. It's called, we call it racketeering and fraud. And so what happens is that I want you to understand when it comes, I mean, we have, our law goes way back and begins with what was called common law or common sense, or it was the 10 Commandments is how they used. For instance, like when it says, honor your father and your mother. Children begin to learn respect for authority through their father and their mother. Now, I've been working with families for over 20 years. I know I have mothers who will beat their children, and they still can't get them to do what they tell them to do. And when the father just speaks, the children will obey their fathers. Now, this is a biblical principle, that understanding this authority structure, because we need the authority structure in order to get our community back where we have some kind of a some kind of a sanity that we can say it's functionable. When our young people when the children are separated from their parents, separated from their fathers, and we don't understand this as a community, that we're going to have a major problem with rebellion if we keep this system going that we presently have with our young people that are growing up. They're not going to have a respect for authority. They're not going to have respect for law and order. But it begins with children, obey your father and your mother. Now, these 10 Commandments at what time were in our public schools and were in our court system. And when they go ahead and take these out of our court system, our judicial system, what's wrong with honor your father and your mother? What's wrong with thou shalt not kill? That's where we get the right to life. The right to life comes from thou shalt not kill. Every one of us has a right to live. Then you have the thou shalt not commit adultery. That's where you have thou shalt not commit adultery, the sanctity of marriage. That's where instead of passing condoms out, instead of putting parents like me and my wife in a parenting class and telling us we have to teach our children how to masturbate at the age of 5 years old and demonstrate it to a case manager at the courthouse, and this is all in writing, this is the kind of insanity that we're dealing with. And so once we get back, the sanctity of marriage, it says, I mean, and these are principles that our country was built on. Then you have, after honor your father and your mother, thou shalt not kill. The authority, that's where authority begins, honoring your father and your mother. The right to live, the right to life. The sanctity of marriage, thou shalt not commit adultery. I believe that one of the principles that's causing one of the largest problems with our young people and our families is this thing called sex outside of marriage. I personally don't believe that young people or adults should be having sex until they're married. They should be under control and have themselves under control. It's destroying the family and it breeds violence. Now, I happen to read my Bible. I happen to be someone who just reads it. And it says that it will cause violence. It breeds violence. This thing called sex outside of marriage. And I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I believe, like my father and my mother, they didn't have sex before they got married. And they never got a divorce. And that's the way we need to get back to. We need to go back to the old school. Then you have thou shalt not steal. We have the rights, property rights. There we go again. You're not to do damage to persons, to anyone's person or property. The system that's built on you're not to do damage to anyone's person or property. That's where it's built on. And we need to understand that as a community. Our young people need to be taught this. Thou shalt not covet. And then thou shalt not bear false witness, and then thou shalt not covet. And so what happens is that once we get back to these old principles and understand them, understand how our laws were formed and basically why. I mean, there's a root to everything, why we do what we do. It's amazing how, even to the fact at one time it's not proper etiquette for a man to reach out to touch a woman, to shake a woman's hand. That's improper. Because it says in the scripture, 1 Corinthians 7:1, it's not good for a man to touch a woman. So what happens is that once you study and you start to understand this thing about law and order, it goes back to us as protecting our community and protecting our families so we can have a strong community and protecting our children. And this is what my job would be as the sheriff, would to be reinstate once again our community being the law enforcement and hiring deputies and having deputies that understand the rights of the people and they take an oath to defend their rights, and that they are not above the law, that if they violate the law themselves, that they will be charged with the same thing as any citizen would be if they violate people's rights and violate the law. And what I need to do is I need people to take this website and to get it out in your community. This YouTube, Greg Pound for Sheriff, and help me. I have nothing to hide in our community. I have nothing. I want you to see who I am. I want you to understand what I want to represent, who I want to represent, and the things that we need to get done in this county. We need to go back to where we have truth, justice, and righteousness in positions of authority in our county. Not people using their jobs in order to go ahead and to line their pockets and to protect other criminals, waiting for their turn to come up. If you look at the insider on my YouTube account, he worked in the county for 17 years. He exposes the corruption for this greed. It's rampant. We have rampant now corruption in our county. We have people thinking they're above the law because they might be representing the law. So they think they're above it. They know it better than us. And they should be held with a higher accountability than those who don't understand the law or may be learning it. And so what I'm asking you to do is to take this YouTube and as this is as I get this put up, I'm going to try to get this posted at the elections office, my YouTube, and I just want you to see the corruption. This is my second run for sheriff in Pinellas County. And you can go to my Tiger Forum debates that we had at the country club in St. Petersburg, the yacht club, and you can watch these debates. You can see. I just want you to see. We want things simple as a community, so it's not that hard to understand. We don't want people to not say they can't obey the law because they don't understand the law. Half the people don't understand it. It's like our young people. My goal is to educate and inform the people of our community what their rights are. And so then it's easier for them to understand it. Once you understand these things, and our young people understand it, that you cannot do damage to someone's person or property. You just don't touch anyone's person, you don't touch your property, and you'll be fine. You'll be protected. Our goal is to protect one another, to educate our community, educate our young people, and to make this community a place where people want to live. Not where they're being raped and robbed by those we elect into office. It's getting difficult for the American people to understand and to see, but it's getting clearer and clearer that the people we have elected into office are not representing us, the people. They don't care about us as a people. When they file false reports, when I take false reports to the sheriff, give them to them, and show them what they're doing to these people and these families, and they don't even care. They have no interest whatsoever. They don't care. But you watch the hell that the families are going through. And this is what we need to do, is we need to elect we the people back into office. And so I would appreciate whatever I can do to help you understand who I am and my understanding of how our systems to work. We need to understand. It's amazing how that if we don't have righteous authority, it's hard for people to follow that and to represent it. We have now a system where, because of the corruption so bad, and people are when they go into the system, and if you don't have a right to jury trial over your own children, when they took an oath, when you got to stand in front of a free speech zone in front of your courthouse in violation of your First Amendment rights, this is criminal. How can you have a free speech zone in front of your courthouse? You have deputies there. You have people that work in the court system, lawyers every day, and their job is to defend our rights, representing law and order, like Patrick Henry said, give us liberty or give us death. The whole revolution started over a man not refusing to take a license to speak. And we're right back there again. And what happens is this is going on in front of your very courthouse, and nothing's being done about it. They see it every day. You can go in front of the courthouse, you'll see the cones out there saying that if you're going to speak, you got to speak in the free speech zone. Being implemented by China. We have 67 counties but 72 maximum security prisons in the state of Florida. The prison industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're getting, it's really out of control.